was one thing that troubled the king. The children of his kingdom had trouble sleeping at night. No matter what he tried, they just couldn't seem to fall asleep. The king consulted with his wise advisors and asked for their advice. They suggested that he invite a renowned storyteller from a nearby kingdom to come and tell stories to the children before bedtime. The king thought this was a great idea and immediately sent for the storyteller. The storyteller arrived in the kingdom and was greeted by the king himself. The king explained the problem with the children not being able to sleep and asked if the storyteller could help. The storyteller smiled and said he had just the thing. That night, the storyteller gathered all the children of the kingdom in the castle courtyard. He sat down in front of them and began to tell a story. The story was about a brave knight who set out on a quest to defeat a terrible dragon. The children listened with rapt attention as the storyteller spun his tale. As the story progressed, the children became more and more engrossed. They gasped as the knight battled the dragon and cheered when he finally emerged victorious. When the story was over, the children were filled with excitement and wonder. The storyteller smiled and said, "Now, my dear children, it's time to go to bed. But before you do, I have one more story to tell you." He then began to tell a story about a peaceful forest where the animals lived in harmony and sang lullabies to each other at night. As the storyteller spoke, the children's eyelids began to droop. Soon they were fast asleep, dreaming of brave knights and peaceful forests. The next night, the children eagerly gathered in the courtyard once again, eager to hear more stories. And so it went for many nights, as the storyteller regaled the children with tales of adventure, magic, and wonder. And every night, the children fell asleep with ease, dreaming of the magical worlds they had heard about. As the weeks passed, the children of the kingdom became well-rested and happy. Their parents were grateful to the storyteller for helping their children sleep, and the king was pleased to see his people so content. And so, the storyteller became a beloved figure in the kingdom, and his stories were passed down from generation to generation. To this day, the children of the kingdom still gather at bedtime to hear his tales, and they drift off to sleep with dreams of adventure and magic. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Lily who loved to dream. She would fall asleep each night with a smile on her face, eager to explore the magical worlds that existed in her imagination. One night, Lily fell asleep and began to dream. She found herself in a beautiful garden filled with colorful flowers, towering trees, and a sparkling stream. As she wandered through the garden, she noticed a group of animals gathered around a clearing. Curious, Lily made her way over to the clearing and saw that there was a beautiful peacock standing in the center. The peacock had the most magnificent feathers that shimmered and shone in the sunlight. Lily approached the peacock and asked, "Why are all these animals gathered around you?" The peacock replied, "I am holding a contest. I am looking for the most talented animal in the garden." Lily was intrigued and asked if she could enter the contest as well. The peacock nodded and said, "Of course. Anyone is welcome to enter." One by one, the animals came forward to show off their talents. A rabbit hopped high into the air, a bird sang a beautiful song, and a butterfly flitted about with grace and elegance. Finally, it was Lily's turn. She closed her eyes and concentrated hard, and suddenly she began to glow with a bright light. The animals gasped in amazement as a beautiful butterfly emerged from Lily's fingertips and fluttered around the garden. The peacock was impressed and declared Lily the winner of the contest. As a prize, he gave her a beautiful feather from his tail. Lily was overjoyed and thanked the peacock and the other animals for the opportunity to showcase her talent. She then woke up from her dream, still clutching the feather in her hand. From that day on, Lily felt even more inspired to explore the magical worlds in her dreams. She knew that anything was possible if she believed in herself and let her imagination run wild. And so, Lily continued to dream, each night falling asleep with a smile on her face and a heart full of wonder. Once upon a time, there was a magical land where the animals could talk and had the ability to fly. One day, a young bird named Peter discovered that he had a special gift. He could sing the most beautiful songs anyone had ever heard. Peter was overjoyed and would often sing to the other animals in the land. His voice was so pure and enchanting that it would make everyone stop and listen in awe. One day, an eagle who lived in a far-off mountain heard Peter singing and was so impressed that he decided to invite Peter to come and perform for him. Peter was thrilled at the opportunity and eagerly agreed. The eagle gave Peter directions to his mountain home and warned him that the journey would be long and perilous. But Peter was determined to share his gift with as many creatures as possible and set out on the journey. As Peter flew over forests, rivers, and mountains, he encountered many challenges along the way. But he persevered, singing his beautiful songs to keep his spirits up and to inspire himself to keep going. Finally, after many days of flying, Peter arrived at the eagle's mountain home. The eagle welcomed him with open wings and was amazed when Peter began to sing. Peter sang with all his heart, pouring his soul into every note. The eagle was so moved that tears streamed down his face, and he declared that Peter was the most talented bird he had ever heard. The eagle then introduced Peter to all the other birds in the mountain and invited him to perform for them as well. Peter sang for the eagles, hawks, and even the tiny hummingbirds, and they all marveled at his beautiful voice. Peter felt fulfilled knowing that he had shared his gift with so many creatures, and he realized that his journey had been worth it. He flew back to his home in the magical land, his heart filled with joy and gratitude. From that day on, Peter continued to sing, inspiring all the creatures in the land with his beautiful voice. And the eagle and the other birds never forgot the amazing talent that they had discovered in that young bird who had flown so far to share his gift with them.